discussing Kamen Rider V3, episodes 10 through 18.
Welcome, listeners, to Henshin Power V3, where three friends have 3 minutes to talk about tokusatsu. I'm Nathan.
I'm Jake.
And I'm tired. I'm Chris.
Oh, come the frick on here, man. Okay, you know what? I'm caffeinated and motivated. Okay, I don't care if it's late. You have no excuse. This is why Red Bull was invented. Although apparently the Metal Don over here, he's not. Red Bull's not cool enough for him.
Because I'm a rock star, baby.
He's got the rock stars, you know. Although for me personally, I prefer Ghost and Rain usually.
I like Ghost.
Although the last couple of days I've been drinking some Prime, but only because I found it on deep sale.
I've been drinking coffee because I'm a traditionalist.
Oh, apparently. But yes, it is getting a little bit late. But welcome to the podcasting world, gentlemen. This will not be the only one that we have, I'm sure, especially if we would decide to do batch recordings.
Yes, which I think we can do at least for V3.
Yeah, at least for V3. It's a good thing I don't go to church until like 11 o'clock tomorrow. So, but not to bring the mood down, but in the interim between when we were recording episode 2 and now episode 3, I checked the group chat for the Power Rangers Legacy Facebook group that we started for the Power Trip, and we'll now be spinning this show off into it with some tragic news, unfortunately. And I know it'll be like 2 months after, or maybe more like, probably like 2 months after the fact when this episode drops, but it needs to be mentioned. Yuka Motohashi, who most prominently played the Yellow Ranger, Natsumi Shinohara in Gekiso Sentai Car Ranger, is no longer with us. She also plays Sonona. There it is. Sonona in Dawn Brothers. And she played a small role in, prepare yourself for this title, Kamen Rider Cross Kamen Rider O's and W featuring Skull Movie War Core. She had a small role in that. She was only 46 years old. She had cancer. And from what I'm reading here on the Writer Wiki, it was announced in August of 2021 that she had cancer, and as of May 31st, it got to her.
That is very sad and tragic news. She was my favorite of the Car Rangers.
Yeah. That now Sentai has a Yellow Ranger who was tragically taken too soon. But, since the Power Trip covered Car Ranger, I felt the need to report on this for everybody. And, we're saddened to hear that, especially that young. Good Lord.
Yeah, but cancer doesn't discriminate.
No, it doesn't.
Which is why you're never too young to go and get a physical and get things checked to make sure that everything is functioning like it's supposed to.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Moment of silence for Yellow Racer. Okay. I wish we could do more, but we can only do so much. We are but humble podcasters. All right. We got some more Kamen Rider V3 that we need to get into. So let's start diving. Okay, so I've got some additional background information to share with everybody here really quick. Mostly just new cast members that I've learned about thanks to the Generation Kakaida DVDs, which continue to be a wealth of information on this show. Unlike you, Writer Wiki. This is going to be one of our new running gags, isn't it? Unlike you, Writer Wiki, because you suck more than a black hole. That's the nerdy way of putting it. All right, so obviously we're doing V3 episodes 10 to 18. A quick shout out here to our new voice actors who were not mentioned in the previous episode: Shoji Nishizaki, Shun Yashiro, Keisuke Yamashita, and Ritsuo Sawa, who played various not Shocker. What am I talking about? We have rebranded Shocker Destron as various Destron mutants. We also have a new live action cast member that we will have to talk about. Jotaro Senba in his only tokusatsu credit, but he is apparently incredibly beloved and reprised this character nearly 40 years later on stage. But Jotaro Senba as Doktor G, and it's Doctor with a K, I might add.
No C's for you.
No C's for you. It's like, I don't know if this is the 90s or Mortal Kombat came early or whatever. I like, why is it spelled like this? It seems like it's supposed to be like kind of more like a German take on the word, but I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of weird. And then
I think it's his actual name because nothing about this guy says he's a doctor.
We'll get into that because this character is a little confused. He needs to pick a theme. I'm just saying, supervillains need motifs and themes. I think he's trying to do about 5 at the same time, and I'm a little confused what he's supposed to be. It's like, will you stop throwing ideas into a blender here, sir? Pick a lane.
He's a vampire. He's a knight. He's Scorpina's dad.
He's also with a name like Doktor G. I would assume he's supposed to be a scientist, but he's not just a scientist. He's also a sorcerer or something. I don't know. He's confusing. We'll get into that. What was that?
He's a commandant.
He's a commandant. Yeah, that's the official names in this one. I think the shout subtitles for the original show I think they were called generals. I don't know if it was the same word. It's just a different translation. I'm not sure, but they are officially called commandants here. Also, shout out to our director of photography for episodes 1 through 28, Ryuji Kawasaki, who used to work for Daiei. And then obviously when Daiei died, he jumped ship over to Toei. At least that's how I'm looking at it. I don't remember the exact details of his biography, but by this point, Daiei was filing for bankruptcy, and their studio was burnt down by disgruntled employees. I'm not kidding.
I remember you talking about that on the Film Vault. That was quite disturbing yet entertaining to listen to.
Yeah, it would make for I think that would make for a bit of a funny movie, or at least an episode of television. It would be amusing. All right. Also, the Rider Scouts, a fun fact about the Rider Scouts, the Common Kenny Force, as I like to call them. They go on they were introduced in the original Kamen Rider around, I think, like episode 62, 63, somewhere thereabouts. And apparently they're really prominent in V3, but they go on hiatus after V3 until Super 1. So all the shows in between, they're not there. Probably because somebody realized, reckless child endangerment, not a good look for superheroes.
Says who?
Apparently a boomer millennial like us. I don't know. But anyway, actually, this fun fact I'm going to be saving for the awards because I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. All right. And then I should also be noted, we talked a bit about Miss Hizuru Ono in the previous episode. She was an award winner, actually, in our previous episode. This is not her only tokusatsu credit. She has a fair amount of others. Most interestingly, she played Princess Kaguya in episode 32 of Ultraman Leo. Because I'm the TsuBro, and I got to mention all the Ultraman connections.
Yes, you must.
Yeah. Unlike you, Sentai Guy, your mantra isn't even going to show up in our first season because you had to pick Guyver.
Well, I have reasons, sir.
Yeah, go off brand there. Yeah. Oh, and I mentioned, and some of this I mentioned already, but Akiji Kobayashi played Tachibana. I mentioned he played Captain Muramatsu in Ultraman. He also, you want to talk about a guy who, like, this man could have completed the hat trick. He could have done the tokusatsu hat trick here. So he's been in Kamen Rider. He's been in Ultraman. He was also in 2 Heisei Godzilla films, specifically Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Godzilla and Mothra the Battle for Earth, or Godzilla vs. Mothra 92, whichever you prefer. And he was in Gamera 2, Attack of Legion.
Wow.
All he was missing was Super Sentai, and he would have had the hat trick. Dagnabbit!
What could have been.
What could have been, and it would have been so easy too. I don't know why they didn't throw him into Super Sentai someplace.
Because he wouldn't have needed a team.
I guess not. But unfortunately, he died before Deca Ranger, or else he would have been Doggy Kruger or whatever. What was his name? I forget what his name was.
It was Doggy Kruger in the Deca Rangers as well.
Was it? I may have to. Well, I think his name was Doggy. I don't know if it was Kruger. I don't know. I'll have to check that. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I recorded on SPD on the Power Trip. So just thought I would bring up a couple of interesting little factoids I picked up there from the Generation Kakaida DVDs. And speaking of Generation Kakaida, we got to start talking about our episodes. And I say that because all of our episode synopses for Kamen Rider V3 are taken from the superb Generation Kakaida DVDs. Good luck, Shout, trying to equal these. I hope you buy all that stuff from Generation Kakaida and just re-release it under your new label. Okay, so all right. So first up, we have episode 10, Secret of the Double Typhoon, which will resolve the cliffhanger that we left you on in our previous episode coverage. You're welcome. In Japanese, this episode is Daboru Typhoon no Himitsu. Our writer is, we have 2 this time, actually, Makoto Naito and Toshimichi Seiki. And it was directed by Katsuhiko Taguchi. Originally aired April 21st, 1973. What is our synopsis, Chris?
Destron's Razor Starfish teams up with Lanzat to attack V3, and they send the Hell Squad to steal a shipment of nuclear satellite fuel. Oh my. Meanwhile, Tobei, Tachibana, and the Rider Scouts are captured while searching for Junko and Shigeru. Can Shiro Kazumi find the antidote for the Hell Squad, rescue his friends from certain death, and take on both mutant cyborgs? Of course he can.
I was going to say, spoiler warning, he can. So, we get our resolution, like I said, to last week. And this is when I started noticing that Destron likes putting logos on the Hell Squad. So much for secrecy. Now, mind you, it's subtler than Shocker. Shocker was pretty blatant. They clearly came from the Hydra school of villainy. Logos on everything.
Well, at least with the motocross guys, they just look like another sponsor.
This is true. But one character that we need to talk about is, and if I remember correctly, I think he turned out to be, he was Len's aunt in disguise, because apparently every one of these kaijin can shapeshift. I don't know exactly how the disguises work, but I can't decide if he's trying to be Igor, Freddy Krueger, or Torgo.
He was horrifying is what he was. Not as horrifying as Razor Starfish, but there was some definite horror elements in this.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the horror element.
Yeah. I don't know if they were going for Universal or Hammer. I'm guessing probably closer to Hammer.
I would say Hammer.
Hammer horror was pretty popular at the time.
I was all of a sudden in theaters like, don't go in that stupid house. What are you doing?
Yeah, you had those moments, huh?
Yes, because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you are not going to fall into the horror tropes, are you? Which, spoiler warning, they don't. Because they're trained by Tachibana, they're able to fool.
Yeah. Tachibana and his Kamen Kenny squad are, doing a lot of stuff this episode. And we find out that the kids are armed.
Yeah.
Kinda.
So they're not helpless. They're not just...
Oh my gosh, we get the more crucifixions.
Yes, the crucifixion.
Oh, more crucifixions.
And the burning at the stake from the Japanese KKK. No less.
Oh, yeah. In case you didn't know, Destron was evil.
Just like later, you'll be getting your pseudo-Nazis trying to take over the world.
Although that was Shocker. Shocker is pseudo-Nazi. They are pseudo-Nazis.
But there's apparently a leftover pseudo-Nazi who's helped take over the world because he is a commandant and everything else.
Oh, did you hear it? Heard it?
Of course.
There you go.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, but don't worry, Mom and Dad. Don't worry. The Common Kenny Force always carries crackers and chocolates on their missions.
That way they're never hungry.
I guess. I don't know why that's important, but apparently it's important.
It's because they were saying that they were hungry and they were saying, we fooled you. We always have something to eat.
Yeah, because Lenzant in disguise is poisoning their drinks.
I have special milk for you, dude. Saying special milk in a room full of children is not...
That is not cool, dude. Forget about Kamen Rider V3. Child Protective Services is going to be coming to see you. But I would also like to point out at this point, I jokingly put in my notes that the 26 secrets I now call the 26 Deus Ex Machinas.
Yes.
Because we're like, oh no, V3's in a pinch. New power. Ha
yeah. Oh, in this secret is he can harden his shoulders.
Yes.
And this secret is he can harden his chest. Aren't those the same secret?
But the branding, man. Also, the Common Kennys have lockpicks in their shoes, which I will admit, that's clever.
That was awesome. There is some serious James Bond stuff in these episodes.
Yeah.
You got the lockpicks, and then you got the Interpol. We'll talk about the Interpol guy who has, I guess, basically a map in his shoe.
Yeah, yeah.
You also got Shiro. You also got Shiro dressed up like the Destron Goon, and
for the second time,
it reminded me of James Bond from Spectre.
Yep, for sure. And as you said, yes, Razor Starfish is pretty hideous. So he's no Starfish Hitler, but he's still pretty hideous. All right, so let's move on to our next episode. Episode 11, which is titled The Claws of Evil Reach Out for V3, or in Japanese, it is Akama no Sume Go Bisuri no Nareu. I'm practicing, all right? Bear with me. All right, written by Ikuro Suzuki, directed by Masaki Sukada. Originally aired April 28th, 1973. Jake, you can take this one.
Destron forces marine biologist Dr. Nakahara to create a powerful aquatic mutant, Pickaxe Shark. The doctor escapes, but his creation is sent to kill him. Meanwhile, a Chinpira exposes Shiro Kazami's secret identity to Junko, but is captured and transformed into Drill Mole. As V3 battles Pickaxe Shark in the open sea, Drill Mole abducts Junko to force her into an unholy union.
Okay, we got some secret identity shenanigans going on here. And we quickly find out that, well, I shouldn't say that. The next episode, they kind of toss it out the window. But, we'll talk about that there in a moment. By the way, in case anyone's wondering what a Chinpira is, I saw that in the synopsis and I had to look it up. A Chinpira, not to be confused with a Yakuza, a Chinpira is basically a petty crook, whereas a Yakuza is actually part of organized crime.
Right.
I found it a little strange that the synopsis felt the need to leave that Japanese term in there, but okay.
So basically, it's somebody who's related to mafia. It's probably somebody who's like trying to get in, but hasn't been made yet.
I guess. Also, the synopsis got the scientist's name wrong. It was I think they called him Nakatani, and I had to correct it. Like, guys, it's. Normally the synopses are good, but that was one little error that I noticed. Also, Pickaxe Shark is nuts. I just want to point that out. This is one of my favorite kaijin. Again, one of my favorite kaijin on the show so far. Pickaxe Shark is crazy.
Pickaxe Shark is crazy, and Drill Mole is creepy.
Drill Mole is, oh my gosh. He definitely looks more machine now than, well, animal.
We also get another secret ability in this episode.
Oh, yes.
V3 can create a special circuit that creates a barrier.
Yes, which I like that's a lot. He has a lot of defensive abilities.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get concerned though, because in the last episode we have a guy trying to drug children, and in this one we got a guy trying to force a woman to marry him.
Which gets resolved in the next episode. But, they're bad guys. What did you expect?
Even bad guys should have standards. Come on.
I guess. But, we also have... am I the only one who feels like the end fight with Pickaxe Shark goes on a little long?
Considering it keeps going on, that's going to get a Rantmaster.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll save that for later. Also, that poor Destron surgeon continues to have the eyeshadow of evil. Dude looks like he needs to take a nap. I just saying. Apparently, being evil deprives you of sleep. But then there's all the secret identity drama going on in this, which I think we'll probably talk about a bit more when we get to the next episode. But good grief, show. Good grief. But if I may mention real quick a line that was actually from Pickaxe Shark that I consider for an award. He tells a scientist, oh no, it's Nakahara, actually, at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to test the powers you built into me on you!
That was a good one.
That was pretty good. Also, we have a goon who literally hides behind a newspaper. Like, really? We're doing that gag? This is some Silver Age comic book stuff. It's like, haha, I was reading the paper, and now I'm going to kill you.
Well, back then it was common. Now somebody's reading the paper, like, where'd you find that?
Yeah. Now, I will say this: the end fight in this episode is long, but there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in it. But I don't remember if that won the award or not. But if it didn't, I will mention it as a runner up. But we need to move on to episode 12, which is Junko becomes a mutant's bride. Uh-oh. Or in Japanese, it's Junko ga Kaijin no Hanayame Neil. Written by Akuro Suzuki, directed by Masaki Sukada. Originally aired May 5th, 1973. Our synopsis is Destron's Pickaxe Shark proves a formidable foe to V3, who suffers defeat at the claws of the mutant. Meanwhile, Junko is prepared for an unholy union with Drill Mole. Can Shiro Kazami recover in time to defeat Pickaxe Shark and rescue Junko from a fate worse than death while guarding his secret identity? Spoiler warning, yes.
If they're saying marriage is a fate worse than death, I will have to agree.
Drill Mole, okay, little Mr. Cynical divorcee man. All right, sorry to give people too much of a peek behind the personal curtain here, but come on. Were you married to a Destron mutant? Okay, we're moving on. Anyway, we're moving on. So secret identity drama. This is what these two episodes. I'm like, wait, I thought she knew.
I swear he transformed in front of her, like in the first episode or the second episode.
I'm so confused.
If not, she ran so fast she tapped into the Speed Force.
She would have had to. And then I'm thinking, it was like, why are you keeping it secret? Why is Tachibana the only guy who gets to know? And thankfully, Shiro does explain it, but I still don't get it. He says he doesn't want to break her heart. What are you talking about?
She's literally part of an organization who supports Rider V3, and then she finds out that her hero is the same person as the guy she's fallen in love with. I don't think her heart's gonna be broken. She'd be like, I get to have it's the like, oh, I can have Clark Kent and Superman without having to cheat.
And it's not even. He doesn't even have the excuse of being like, well, I can't tell her because then the bad guys will come get her. The bad guys already know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's obeying the trope for no good reason.
And they're constantly asking Shiro to go take care of the Destron mutant. So if you don't know he's V3, why are you asking him to take care of the Destron mutant?
Yeah, but we should also talk about the wedding, which might be the red wedding before the red wedding. Mother trucker, this just screams so much edgelord. We got pillars made of skulls and a cauldron right in front of the Destron leader's thing, so he could preside over this wedding. And I was like, why do you even want to marry her? That was the first.
I love the
Like,
decorations.
I was gonna say if the Chinpira we saw in the first episode was trying to like stalk her or something, this would make more sense. Otherwise, I don't understand why. Other than, hey, look, she's pretty and the female cast member. So yes, I must.
And the ring that would force her to love him, I called it the daybreak ring.
Oh my gosh. There's just so much wrong, and like you realize just how nefarious and dastardly Destron is in this.
You went from evil to creepy. Good job.
Good job. Jake, I'm sorry. We talked over you quite a bit during our 3 minutes. Any quick thoughts before we move on?
No, you pretty much said them all.
Yeah. Also, I would like to point out, I seriously considered this for an award. I might still name it my runner-up for today's WTH, but how in Godzilla's Green Earth did Shiro get back that fast after riding off at the end of the episode on the hurricane?
Mm-hmm.
That's some Ultraman crap right there. Okay, but at least with that, you just accepted it because it's easier to believe in Ultraman, but actually in later Ultraman series in the Heisei era, they actually show that when after the Ultraman flies away, he basically teleports the host back over to close to where the other characters are, so that no one's the wiser. I don't think Shiro is an Ultraman. So what? Speed Force again?
Well, his
There's so
bike
many
does go up
mention.
to 600. His bike goes up to
Kilometers per
600
hour?
kilometers.
Which is
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
450 miles an hour. I think I tried to
Yeah.
look that up. But anyway, before I need a Rantmaster, maybe I should just do a Rantmaster about that whole thing. I mean, even though I kind of already did it. We need to move on to unlucky number 13 here. Episode 13. Terrifying Commandant Doktor G. Well, maybe that's why. It's unlucky because they're introducing a new villain. All right, in Japanese, it's Kyofu no Daikanbu Dokuro Gi. Or actually, it's Gay. Doktor Gay, which I'm sorry. That is how it is written. I'm sorry. We'll get into it. Written by Masaru Agami, directed by Minoru Yamada, originally aired May 12th, 1973. Chris, take it away with our synopsis.
A couple hikes into the mountains to research the secret of the legendary Boar Man, but only the woman returns. Suspecting Destron, Shiro Kazami goes to the hospital only to have the missing man reappear, a disguise for Magnet Boar, who aims to destroy Japan's national railway system. After an intense fight, Shiro discovers that he cannot transform into V3. But this was simply a ruse to allow the sinister Doktor G safe passage into Japan.
So even though this episode is named after Dr. G, he's hardly in it.
He's hardly in it. And I do feel like this is where the series starts to take a little bit of a downturn. This arc doesn't feel as strong as
this is no. The next arc is it the next arc? I think I don't have my notes for the first episode of our last episode up, but yeah, around this is when the next arc starts.
Yes, the last one stopped at the 12 mark, the end of the first one.
Yeah, it's either 12 or 14. No, I think it is 12. Anyway.
Now, I do love Magnet Boar. I thought Magnet Boar was a good villain.
Yeah.
I take some issues with the narrations, and I'll bring this up more in the future episode that we'll future we'll discuss later. But the narration starts telling us stuff that later on it acts like we're supposed to be surprised by. I'm like, and I thought he knew this already too. This will probably play into my Rantmaster, but there's some flaws that are starting to rear their head, I think, and it's probably because, like with any show that's longer like this, the stretching out the episodes starts causing the quality to go down.
Yeah. Although, some nice things I will say about this episode, and kind of the show in general, I've been noticing a lot more miniature work. Yes. And I think this episode really showcases it quite a bit, to the point where I almost gave it the award. But Magnet Boar, who's a surprisingly effective kaijin, at least for a while, he kind of becomes very ineffective later. But I love the floating miniature car in this. Mm-hmm. Now, none of these miniature effects are super good, but I do enjoy seeing more of it when Toei wasn't typically doing that sort of stuff.
That first car that levitated and dropped and exploded, how the hell did that guy survive?
I don't know. That was pretty nuts. Like, that dude is tough.
I actually thought when he survived that it might have actually been another kaijin in disguise at first, because there's been so many fake outs like that, or where they've taken on the form of another person.
Yeah, you would think our characters would just not trust anybody after a while.
No.
Yeah. But on the other hand, a special effect that didn't work out very well was the back screen projection when Shiro was falling and transforming.
Yeah, that didn't work out quite as well.
No, that didn't work. Nope. No good, guys. No good. But but the thing is here's the thing that's ironic about Magnet Boar. He was surprisingly effective. He beat Shiro twice in this episode, but then he blows himself up because he's an idiot.
This is where the intelligence level really starts to go down.
Yeah. But I will point this out. This is our first one and done episode of the show.
Sort of, but it's also the start of an overarching storyline that takes part, even though that this is the first time that a kaijin is not going to carry over to another episode.
Yeah. But we'll have another standalone episode, one and done episode in a few here, when normally we've been getting pairs. But anyway, we need to move on to episode 14. Secret Memento of the Double Riders, or in Japanese, it is Daburu Raida Himitsu no Katami. That one was surprisingly easy. Written by Masaru Agami, directed by Minoru Yamada, originally aired May 19th, 1973. Jake, what happens in this one?
Toad Boiler attacks Interpol agent George Kawamoto, who is trying to pass on a coded message from Rider 1 and 2 to Shiro Kazami. V3 saves Kawamoto and then heads for Chichibu as directed by the document. Toad Boiler implores him to transform into V3 and then sprays him with a white fluid, a substance that drains V3's energy. Can V3 survive and obtain the secret left behind by the Double Riders?
Shin! Spoiler warning. Well, tune in next week. So, Toad Boiler is totally the forerunner to Terror Toad.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he's a nihilist because he flat out says several times, I don't care if I die.
And he doesn't because he wants V3 to get close to him.
Yep.
But if V3 had a blaster, if V3 had a gun or blaster, that would never happen.
And then he went and get a face full of white goo.
Nope.
So weird. Yeah, but then as soon as he did, he's like, I got him, guys. I got him. Wee! Boom. I'm like, even V3 is like, the frick?
He's a one and done kind of guy.
It's like, weirdo?
I don't think the guy a virgin after all.
Oh my gosh. my gosh.
No, sir. No, the audience will agree that deserves a Badoom Tish.
Oh, fine. But we get our second decapitation in the opening scene because Dr. G might be a vampire.
He said,
Again,
"Awful
he
bad."
can't pick a motif because he hides in a coffin and then he just pops out and just starts murdering people.
And wears a golden scorpion helmet and is dressed like he's ready to sit at King Arthur's table.
Yeah. And he has a sword and shield. And like, again, pick a lane. Anyway, that might be a Rantmaster coming up here. But he just walks on. And this decapitation's even more gruesome than the other one. Because we actually see, it's not blood gushing, but we see red on the neck where there used to be a head. And I'm like, what? Good freaking Lord.
I will say the Destron cult lair looks cool.
Yeah, the set design in this is actually pretty top notch, I gotta say.
Yeah.
It's starting to remind me even more of Super Inframan. Like, you could tell that this had to have been one of the shows that really influenced Super Inframan because the set design's crazy. But yeah, and then we have our finale at a waterfall. Again, wonderful location filmmaking. I said that about the original Kamen Rider, and it continues here. Why did they stop doing this later on? I love Kamen Rider Black, but good grief, there's so many quarries.
Yes. And too bad TLC wasn't around. They would have known not to go chasing waterfalls.
I would like to point out that the characters comment about how the Destron goons are behaving like hunters. I'm like, yeah, the world's most conspicuous hunters because you saw him.
Right.
Yeah. Also, Dr. G tells the Destron leader he's going to basically kill V3 before using any unknown powers. Like, dude, where have you been? He's already been using them. They're a little behind.
Yeah.
Also, we have goons who meet with our secret agent man and say, "Oh, we're part of the youth division of the Rider Scouts. We're totally not too old to be in the Rider Scouts. Seriously, man, we're totally Rider Scouts." And I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, are you like the Destron youth? I mean, you guys were founded by Nazis anyway, but
and Dr. Gay, G, whatever, he makes no sense because before they were taking orders directly from leader. And now there's somebody who's obviously less competent there. And it's almost like they just put somebody there to keep leader from looking incompetent as V3 keeps winning. Somebody he can scapegoat.
One word, delegation.
Yes. Delegate to what? He's a scorpion on a wall. It's not like he needs a bathroom break.
I don't know. I have to wonder if Scorpion Og from Shin Kamen Rider is supposed to be a reference to this guy because she also has a giant scorpion headpiece.
And like I said, the commandant has a giant scorpion helmet. So
yeah,
Scorpina's dad is in this.
Scorpina's daddy. It's canon.
Let's say father, because Scorpina's daddy. That's Goldar.
Yeah, that's Goldar. That's Goldar.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're moving on before the fan theories start accumulating to episode 15. Rider V3's deadly weakness. That should be plural, sir. And in Japanese, this is Rider Byuri's Shi no Jakuten. All right, our writer for this episode is Masaru Agami. Our director is Masaki Sukada. Originally aired May 26, 1973. Our synopsis is: the daughter of Dr. Okajima, an atomic physicist who escaped the clutches of Destron with the help of the Double Riders, saves the badly injured Shiro Kazami from the basin of a waterfall. She is then stalked by Burner Bat, who is looking for V3. With the help of Dr. Okajima, Shiro is able to find the memento from the Double Riders, which holds the secret to V3's 4 weaknesses. What are they?
Shin!
Spoiler warning, stuff we kind of already knew. And also it kind of contradicts it. And I read the writer wiki and I know what the other one is that we don't know about yet. And I'm just like, really?
Well, they only mentioned one.
Which is the recharge thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
which the narrator told us about in the previous episode. And then Shiro acts completely surprised, like, oh, if I do something I can't... Like, you literally couldn't transform in last episode.
Yeah, and
then-
if he gets his energy drained, he has to wait 3 hours.
And then after acting surprised, like, oh, wait, that's what happened before. Why are you so shocked about this? And that's your deadly weakness?
And I love how coy they are when they're listening to that recording, which it sounds like... I wrote down that the sound effects for the recording were provided by Pong. Because they sound like old arcade games. And he's just like, oh, my first weakness. Oh, I didn't know that. What's the second one? Wow, I really didn't know about that one. Third one? Oh, that's shocking. And then the only one he mentions is the fourth one.
Yes. And he's like, most shocking of all. I'm like, how is it shocking? He's already dealt with it.
Yeah. So as far as I can tell, it's sand, because Anakin Skywalker, interrupting the transformation, energy drain, and then I thought it was supposed to be magnetism, but that's connected to the energy drain. And then there's one more that hasn't been seen yet, which is the cold. So Shiro is useless in Michigan in winter. Actually, in the Midwest in winter. He's just useless.
There was one point where Shiro and Okajima was walking through the woods, and Burner Bat went to go get Tatami, and then Okajima shoots Burner Bat, and I said, Shiro, that's why you need a gun.
Yes. Yes. And I love Burner Bat's costume.
Yes.
That was pretty good. And the actor, there's some information about him on the Generation Kakaida DVDs. Like, this dude is literally hanging from trees, both the face actor and the suit actor. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like there's a scene where Burner Bat in the suit literally just flips over from a tree branch and lands on the ground, which it's got to be at least a 10-foot fall. I'm like, you people are crazy.
Dedication.
I mean, good Lord.
And the fight scenes where he was hanging upside down were really good too.
Yeah.
I thought those would be kind of lame, but no, they were going at it really well. I was impressed.
Yeah. And they're clearly trying to keep from falling off, but how does our hero survive? Even though it looks like he kind of blows up at the end of the episode, the I'm just a superhero card. Or I did write down, I was like, well, it must be the Force of Resurrection because Shiro survived. He's not a zombie, though. If you've seen Versus, that will make sense. Anyway, also, I thought it was funny that I wrote down I called the Dr. Okajima, I called him Japanese Gandalf. And I said later on, it's like, I said, like, that wig is really obvious in some shots. And then, oh, wait, turns out it actually is a wig because he just takes it off.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I called it. That's why it looks fake.
And I'm trying to figure out how Burner Bat saw through solid wood because those windows were shuttered.
Echolocation? Really good hearing? Episode 16.
Yeah.
Episode 16. The missile-carrying gecko mutant, or in Japanese, that is Misairu o Seata Yamari Kaijin. Written by Ikuru Suzuki, directed by Masaki Sukada, originally aired June 2nd, 1973. What happens in this one, Chris?
Rider Scout Subaru and his father save a hapless fisherman who witnessed mutant missile gecko in action. V3 fights off missile gecko, but meanwhile, Destron snatches Subaru and his father. Of course. When Subaru discovers Destron's plot to destroy the petroleum complex, will he be able to contact Rider Scout HQ? Can V3 save Japan from plunging into total chaos?
Well, the show would end if he didn't, right?
Shin!
Missile Gecko is bonkers. Like a lot of kaijin in the show. I said he looks like the love child of, this is going to be incredibly nerdy. He looks like the love child of the Gorn and a Tholian.
But I love it.
Star Trek people.
Yes, I love the design. I think he looks menacing. I like the way the effects that they use for him switching from his normal self to his missile form.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Reminded me a little bit of there's a monster in Zeo or O Ranger who's a little bit similar, but he's a straight up missile robot.
Silo.
Silo, yeah. Yeah.
I do like the
I
shot of
love
the-
how
I said I do like the shot of the oil refinery being exploded.
Oh,
thought
that
was
was some
good.
great. That's probably the best miniature shot in the entire show so far. I was a big fan of that one.
And
But
then,
I was
and then you had the most Kenny-esque of the Rider
TsuBro.
because all of a sudden, his father's apologizing for, not believing him and all that stuff. I'm like, well, why would
Yeah,
you believe
because
him?
saying a gecko monster shot a missile is crazy talk in this universe.
Well, I mean, they do try to operate in secret, so
Yeah,
For the
that's
most
something
part,
else we find out. He is secretly a Rider Scout. I'm like, yeah, don't bother to have the parents sign a permission slip. Come
Yeah.
on.
okay.
They got to sign a permission slip to take a kid on a field trip at school, but Tachibana never thought, maybe I should ask mom and dad if I can recklessly endanger their children.
All right, so they know that the sports shop is the Rider base. They've managed to hack into their communications, but they can't figure out how to open the freaking door to the back room.
Well, it's very complicated.
There's a
'Cause
glowing.
you have to move the bowling ball
glowing-
up, and then
Well,
there's
you
the
only-
mirror.
Yeah. I forgot about. We forgot to mention that in the previous episode because
Yes.
because
But-
V3 has a Rider cave that's in the basement of a shop, and you have to get into it by having a little pendant that will flash lights onto a psychedelic bowling ball and
Which all
bring
the
up an
Rider
elevator.
which all the Rider Scouts have, and they have stolen. They apparently just leave the bowling ball up there now. And the second part of it is there's 3 obvious buttons up on the left-hand side of the corner you have to press to get to the right room.
Yeah, God help us if somebody decides to grab that bowling ball to play a game.
Yes.
Are they going to accidentally discover the lair, or are they going to be like, oh, frick, we can't get to the lair?
We can't get to the lair now. Somebody lost the ball at the bowling alley.
Oh, well, this is what happens when you combine a disco ball and a bowling ball.
Yes.
Apparently the more generic term for that now is mirror ball.
Because nobody knows what a discotheque is anymore.
Yeah, unless it's one of the best distributors in America of tokusatsu and anime.
Where'd they get that name from? Go away, child.
Yes, go away, child. I do want to mention real quick here that I love the cinematography in the final fight. There's some great camera angles there when they're fighting on the rig. And you can tell that there's water underneath them, so they really had to position that cameraman on some interesting spots below the actors while they're fighting. So, again, the pluck of these filmmakers is a big part of what makes these early Kamen Rider shows work.
The action has gotten progressively better, especially in this arc.
Yeah.
While other certain things may suffer, the action has gotten progressively better.
Yeah. And this is another one and done episode, which helps to even things out as we go on to our penultimate episode, number 17. The devil spray is the Reaper's weapon. Well, don't fear the Reaper. Got it? Huh? Yeah, obvious joke is obvious. All right. In Japanese, this episode is Dabiru Supere wa Shinigami no Buki. Because Shinigami is either death god or reaper, depending on how you want to translate it. Written by Masayuki Shimada, directed by Katsuhiko, I should say, Taguchi, originally aired June 9th, 1973. Jake, what happens in this one?
The fearsome spray rat takes on the likeness of a priest and finds a young couple to use as guinea pigs for his devil spray virus. He offers to marry them, but only allows one witness, Junko Tama. Shiro Kazami arrives in the nick of time but cannot prevent the groom from being infected. While rescuing the bride, V3 is trapped in a church with a ticking time bomb. Can V3 escape deadly doom?
Shin!
Okay, what is with this show? And you, again, I pointed it out in the last episode, but we have a literal Christian priest, or they use the word pastor in this, being murdered in the first scene, and then our kaijin masquerades as him. They love doing that. Also, this is the second time we've had a deadly wedding in this show.
Yes. And it's the second time since Doktor Gay arrived that there's been a timed bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which tells me Diva Talks worked for this guy.
Oh no! Oh no! 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 No!
Oh.
No! 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 Doctor G is far more effective of a villain than
I said
Diva
she
Talks
worked
ever
for him.
was. I don't care. I don't care. Jamie, if you're listening to this, I don't know why you would, but if you do, I don't care. You can worship Diva Talks all you want. Her victory at the end of Turbo was completely unearned. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that rant.
Dresses weirdly, uses bombs.
It was better
Or
when she was
has
Scorpina's
golden headwear.
daddy. No long tongue, though. At least not yet.
Ugh.
But the whole plot in this, it's not like some sort of, we're going to take over the world.
Of course!
Nope, it's none of that. It's just like, oh, I have a bioweapon and I need guinea pigs. Oh, you two look great.
Well, it's sort of taking over the world. I mean, he's trying to develop a weapon to wipe out humanity. And it's
True. But then he finds out that, just like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, you never try to victimize people who are a friend of a friend of your arch enemy.
Yes, he should have kept to his original role. No, just the two of you. And oh no, I'm drawing a blank. But the virus was a variation of the bubonic plague that is spread by a rat kaiju.
That is true. That is true, because that's how the plague was notoriously spread across Europe, was rats, as opposed to another certain disease that was spread by a bat. Too soon?
No, it's not too soon. People need to know about that.
Oh, okay. Also, we get introduced to a second kaijin who's in the next episode, and good lord, they try so hard to make ladybugs intimidating. They try. I don't know how well they succeed, but they try. Also, I'd like to point out this was the episode where I realized, because we didn't talk about the V3 costume design all that much. He's definitely recognizable as a Kamen Rider when you put him up next to Riders 1 and 2. But, he's got a brighter color palette. He's red and green. Well, it's red and green again, but it's a lighter color palette compared to the other two.
It's the Rider.
Yeah. And he doesn't have a scarf like the two of them, but I noticed in this episode that he has those little white tails that are kind of like scarves on his shoulders. And I realized, like, oh, they look kind of like wings. Again, like an insect.
Yeah.
Which is the only part of his suit that hasn't been shown to have a purpose yet. Like a practical purpose.
And I was just saying, it looks cool. Sometimes aesthetics is all you need. Also, this episode ends with a church exploding. Always a great way to end your show. I'm just saying.
Yes. Going back to the suits, in the first couple of episodes, I thought that it looked while I like the design, it looked obviously cheaply made, and I wonder if it wasn't made off the first budget. They didn't make it for the first one, and then later on, it looks better in the episodes 3 later on. It looks more polished.
Maybe. All right, and now for our final episode for today, episode 18, V3, Beware the Evil Traitor, or in Japanese, it is Akuma no Uragiri Ayashi Byusuri. Our writer is once again Masayuki Shimada. Our director is Katsuhiko Taguchi. Originally aired June 16th, 1973. What happens in this one? Kusari Gamma Beetle. Yes, they didn't translate that episode because that's an actual Japanese weapon. They look like sickles. Ninjas, from what I understand, like to use them. Anyway, Kusari Gamma Beetle captures Shiro Kazami and takes him to Destron's outpost. While Dr. G is torturing Shiro, he breaks free and seizes the files for the Devil Spray antidote, because there's always an antidote. You never know when you might get infected, only to discover that it is a fake. Go figure. V3 is ambushed by the Destron mutants, and in the heat of battle, Spray Rat attacks Kusarigami Beetle. The injured mutant decides to betray Destron and help Shiro retrieve the antidote for the Devil Spray. What the synopsis doesn't make clear is which one of those mutants it is. It's Beetle Boy, just in case anyone didn't figure that out. But is V3 being led into a trap?
Shin!
Spoiler warning, yes, but I give them credit. They work really hard to convince you otherwise.
Too bad General Akbar wasn't around.
What?
General Akbar, it's a trap.
Oh, it's a trap. Yeah, obvious joke is obvious. There you go. Yeah.
But like you would have listened, because it turned out that he was bringing a trap too, so it all pans out in the end. But it was a little convoluted.
A little, but like I said, I give him credit. There were two opportunities where he kept the ruse going when he could have revealed it. A cage falls down and he breaks him out of the cage. He restrains a couple of goons later on, and then it's just like, "Hey, you V3, you go over there." And then he goes into the room that's actually the trap, and he's like, "Ha ha, I fooled you." So two give credit where credit is due. Again, he's a ladybug that they're trying to make look intimidating. And you were telling me, was it you, Chris, who were telling me about like there's a French superhero show for kids?
Miraculous, yes.
Miraculous, yeah, that has a ladybug themed heroine.
Yes. It's my youngest son. He actually loves that show, and it's actually a pretty good show once you get past the aesthetic. Like, this is about a ladybug and a young boy who's dressing up as a black cat.
Yeah. Now, I will admit, for a hot second, I thought we were going to get a rare sympathetic kaijin. Doesn't last, obviously.
No, not at all. Just somebody else you want to see B3 beat down.
Yeah.
We also find out in this episode that Shiro can withstand 3,000 volts of electricity.
Which I think something like that had been established in for Writer 1 or 2, I think, in the previous show. So I wasn't all that surprised by it.
And we find out that Destron goes to Taco Bell because they like to use murderous gas.
Wow. This was also the episode where we spoke highly of the V3 Hopper before. This was the episode where I realized, oh look, a string. And of course, Destron uses the most evil of tactics ever: disappearing ink. The Fiends.
Disappearing printed ink at that.
Right? I should be calling them Kisama, because that insult gets used a lot here, and this is the most interesting translation I've ever seen of that word.
Which was?
Well, it's it was either wretch or fiend, and I'm like,
wretch.
That's interesting, because that's not what it literally means, and I've seen it translated a bunch of different different ways before. I've seen it translated a-hole. I've seen it translated as just you. Like, someone's just angry. It's just like, you. But it literally, I love this because I was researching a novel and I was looking up Japanese insults. Nobody ever translates it literally because the literal translation is probably too funny. It literally means Lord of the Donkeys.
And I love that.
Also, Spray Rat's oversized robot arm wins the award for most awkward kaijin prop.
Got this very tense scene. It's dark. It's supposed to be foreboding, and the mood is completely killed when you see this almost paper mache looking arm stretching towards him. And I'm like, just spit on it; it'll fall apart.
Yeah, probably. If it gets a little wet, it's just going to turn into mush.
It would have looked, honestly, it would have looked better if they had actually inversed it and had Beetle Man kill him. Disease never took effect because he crushed his skull and he died, basically. Yeah. So just switch monsters and then have them both there. The Beetle kills him and then the rat.
Yeah. All right, it's time to move on, gentlemen. Okay. Who needs a Rantmaster?
I do.
All right, here you go.
Rantmaster activated.
Why did they make everybody stupid? It starts out, pickaxe shark. They say, oh, he has an advantage in the water. What does Kamen Rider keep doing? He gets him on land, then he throws him back in the water. He doesn't get thrown in the water. No, he grabs him and then he jumps into the water. I'm like, you lost your advantage. You deserve to lose this fight. What are you doing? Oh, and then she doesn't know he's Rider V3?
Oh, he's got two.
No, y'all don't know he's Rider V3. Y'all sent him to fight these things, not everybody's y'all were so smart. And then this new arc starts and everybody's stupid.
You still got 2 minutes, man.
And then Doktor Gay, he is such a downgrade. His plans aren't working.
He's got 3 now.
He doesn't. I mean, he's just there. He's not menacing. The actor's doing a decent enough job, but he's just being written like he came out of the coffin like, I'm fabulous. No, not. There's all these fireworks going on.
We are going to get letters.
I don't care. Send the hate. I don't care. I warned y'all. I don't care. We're going to get canceled. It'll be fine. They can't cancel if you don't let them.
You cannot cancel what does not care.
It feels like the action took several steps forward, but everything else took a step back. It's like modern wrestling. Yes, the actions evolved. You forgot how to tell the story that you were going with. There's no tension. Destron's not feeling like a threat. The only reason why they feel like a threat at all is because now the Rider and the Rider Scouts are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. But that's not how you ride it.
And we circle back.
Yes. And that is my Rantmaster, my first Rantmaster of many, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. You had 15 seconds to go, but there you go. There you go. There you go. You got one, Jake? You need one?
I don't need one today.
You don't need one today, but you know what? I'm claiming my first one.
Rantmaster activated.
So, Dr. G. Can I call you G? Mr. Gay, whichever name you prefer. You apparently enjoy trying to make English letters look terrifying because you were using that like you were, I don't know, L or something from Death Note. And okay, use a foreign letter, that'll be terrifying. Whatever. That's not what this rant is about. This rant is about how you, sir, you need to pick a lane as a supervillain.
Yes.
Because I feel like you just woke up one day and the Distron leader is telling you, hey, I need you to go do stuff for me. Oh, thank you, almighty Destron leader, for letting me go smite our enemies to tiny bits in thy mercy. And you then decided, you know what? I need a gimmick. I'm a supervillain. I need a gimmick. I know. How about I take 5 different ideas and throw it into a blender? That'll come out great. Am I a vampire? Yes. Am I a knight of some kind? Yes. Do I have a scorpion fetish? Yes. Am I a sorcerer? Yes. Am I a scientist? Yes, because my name is literally Doctor, but I don't really do a lot of doctoring things. I am every supervillain ever. Can you tell?
Am I a sycophant? Yes.
There's that too. He's confusing. It's almost like he was attempting to be all of the Shocker Generals in one character. At least the Shocker Generals picked a lane, okay? Colonel Zoll was basically a Nazi. He was an SS officer. Dr. Shinigami was a mad scientist and potential vampire because he dressed like Dracula. And spoiler warning, he turned into a bat monster later.
And apparently, sometime along in his career, Doktor G had a personality lobotomy.
I don't know about that, but I don't know. He is such a bizarre character because I can't really latch on to anything with him because I don't understand. I don't understand the gimmick. I don't know what he's supposed to be because he wants to be, like I said, everything. At least say what you want about their competence. At least the Shocker Generals picked a lane. I knew what they were. All right. You know, especially like Dr. Shinigami was my favorite one because he was basically a mad scientist who dabbled in magic. You know, I've read Fantastic Four comics. I know who Doctor Doom is. I can work with this. But Dr. G, I can't figure it out. I can't figure to do that.
I'm hoping that this arc picks up, especially since it goes to
episode 40.
Because it has been a serious downgrade from that's in episodes 13 through 18. Felt like they lasted a whole lot longer than episodes 1 through 12 did. I enjoyed it a lot through episode 1 through 12. Kind of ironically or not, the first 13 episodes of Masked Rider went by really well. Then all of a sudden, you hit a wall of slog.
And you know what's funny? I watched basically nothing but 13 through 18 today when I could have been watching Godzilla -1 on Netflix.
Me too.
The things I do for you people.
We're not saying it's not bad. I mean, the acting was good. It's just when you watch those first 12, especially when you've been watching them, and then all of a sudden you hit 13 and you're like, oh, the storytelling is taking a significant downgrade. The other parts have picked up. The suits are getting better. They're getting more elaborate. There's a lot of good suits in this one. I didn't see any Spirit Halloween worthy looking ones like I did in the first one, but the action picked up. But you sacrificed the most important part.
So what I'm getting from you is Kamen Rider the Next is too good of an adaptation.
Yeah.
Because we also have villains who can't pick a lane, and it goes bat crap crazy. But the action is amazing.
Yes, we're not to whiteboards yet.
No, we haven't gotten to the whiskey and whiteboards yet. No. But speaking of explosions and all of that, we got to get to the awards. But before we get to the awards, we got to do the TSA, the Toku Sensei announcement, our thematic discussion. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Yes.
All right.
Shin.
So, did you guys pick up on anything new in this stretch of episodes, or do you think it continues to expand off of what we've seen before?
I would say, to quote John Cena, never give up.
For sure. We do have some pretty determined individuals in here, don't we?
It makes me want to give up, but I didn't. No, no. But you had the boy that he encourages to walk. I believe was in this set.
No, it was in the last set. But...
Okay, no, it was the doctor that he encourages to, instead of running and hiding, to stand up to them, to actually give his daughter a future. And you see that no matter how bad the circumstances are getting, they keep finding ways to get out because they're determined. Never give up on those around you, because even they were doubting Shiro, thinking that he had lost his mind with the beetle guy. It turned out he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was going to betray him. He was doing a double cross.
Yeah, because that was something that they brought up, that, it's like, why are you trusting this thing? Why did you bring it here? And you could tell he wants Beetle Boy to be telling the truth. He wants it to be real. I think, which adds to the disappointment when he's not. So I guess trust is a big theme in this stretch a little bit too.
That was one of the redeeming parts of the writing here, was like Shiro wasn't dumb enough, wasn't so naive that he didn't have a plan in place in case he did get set up.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Jake?
Well, I think the redemption is kind of over now. I think he's had time to grieve over his parents. I think now it's more justice and just trying to protect everyone else now. So instead of just trying to go after Destron, he's trying to protect people.
And like I said before about trust, I think you also see and I don't know how intentional this was, but a bit of the opposite, because we have a lot of institutions and authority figures that you would normally think would be trustworthy being used as disguises by our bad guys. Most notably the Christian priest, which the fact that there's even a Christian priest and a Christian church in this is kind of astonishing, because Christianity is exceedingly rare in Japan. So it's interesting that they are taking something that they know culturally well enough, at least, should be something that you can trust, even if it is technically a foreign religion. That it's something that's good and trustworthy, and it's a great evil comes in, destroys it, and then pretends to be it, because isn't that the nature of evil? It is a corruption of what is good, an absence of good. So it's interesting. And also, we talked about weaponizing, well, not weaponizing, but we have these unholy unions, again, a corruption of something that is good. In one case, it was bad guy tries to marry heroine, and in another one, it's, oh, let's have a wedding. Oh, wait, it's actually a death trap for an evil experiment. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty good. It was pretty good. So now we can move on to. All right. So let's get to our awards for today. So first up, we have the Koichi Sakamoto Award for the Best Stunt or Fight Scene, something I should have brought up in the last episode in case nobody listened to our introduction. Koichi Sakamoto was a prolific director and fight choreographer on basically everything. He worked on Ultraman, Super Sentai, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider. He did it all, people. And he loves blowing things up. Our award for Best Stunt or Fight Scene, my nominee, I had several contenders. And then one little thing comes in episode 18 and steals all their thunder. And that is V3, because it looks different. They did something different with the cinematography and the style here. It was V3 slow-mo missile dodge when he's fighting Missile Gecko. The explosions look great, and the slow-mo really amplifies the action and the practical effects that we see going off, because these are practical explosions and they're real explosions that are going off around these actors. Again, we've seen stuff like this before in previous episodes, but the slow-mo really makes it stick out this time around.
It was hard for me to find one. I put Okajima shot burner bat with a gun.
Because he did the smart thing.
Yeah.
So that one wins because it's the smart move that nobody thinks
Right.
of doing. Funny enough, in that Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe script I mentioned that I'm recording for in the previous episode, there's a line about that actually. Where Deadpool tells Spider-Man, it's like, you know why I'm better than all the other sociopaths you've dealt with? I have a gun.
My award is going to go to the upside down fights with Burnerbat and V3.
That was impressive. That was definitely in contention.
It was shot well. It was. They had to be very careful so he didn't fall, and they shot in ways looks like they were really beating the snot out of each other. Great cinematography, great concept. I don't think I've seen anything like that before. Where they're actually, I've seen them like hanging upside down and stuff. That's one thing, but actually doing the stunt fighting and all the stunts that they did involved, I don't know if it's done before or since. At least not in a way that would caught my attention the way this did.
Let me back up. They did things filming these shows that they would never let anybody do now. They took so many risks on this show, and in terms of how they did the action sequences, people are too safety conscious anymore to do stuff like this to do stuff like it now.
Yeah, but it was that was fantastic, and when I saw it, I'm like, I don't know if there's. I forgot all the other ones I had before it. And I'm like, there's going to be something huge to top this because this it blew my mind.
Yeah. And then next up, we have the Eiji Tsuburaya Award for Best Special Effect, named in honor of the creator of Ultraman and the seminal special effects director in Japan. All right, mine. I hinted at it a little bit earlier. It was part of some of the background information I found. I need to explain it a little. I need to explain it more now. But it is the V3 barrier. And I am nominating it despite the fact that there's arguably better effects in it. But it wins because it fooled me. I thought it was an optical effect. It is not an optical effect. They did that practically. Did you guys notice that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
What was that, Chris?
I said, yeah, I noticed that they done it practically because at first I thought it was going to be like another animation. And I looked at it like, no, wait, that looks different than all the other stuff he's done.
Yeah, that is actually animal hair that is backlit.
That is impressive.
And it fooled me. I thought it was an optical effect. I'm like, hot dang, you guys fooled me. I was just so used to seeing stuff like that done as an optical effect. I didn't realize that they did that. They realized that practically. So bravo, gentlemen. Bravo. Excellent work. Excellent work. And it looks great. It genuinely looks great. So, wow. Again, nobody does that anymore. Now they'll just CGI it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jake, what was your nominee?
I'm going to give it episode 13 at the beginning when they're in the hospital and it's thunderstorming. Pretty much any show or movie that has a thunderstorm in it, I love it. So I'm going to the thunderstorm.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice and moody.
Yeah.
Nice and moody. All right. Chris, what do you got?
My award is going to Magnet Boar and his levitation of vehicles and attempted levitation of a bullet train.
Oh, that nearly won. If it wasn't for the fact that I got fooled by the barrier effect, that would have won.
Yeah, but that was fantastic.
And some of the miniature work was really good too.
The miniature work was fantastic, and that almost got my award for that I thought that fight was fantastic. It felt brutal, and the way that they choreographed, the way that he fought, you just felt the raw power of Magnet Boar.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought they fit it real well, and I thought whenever V3 was fighting him, you could feel his anger and aggression growing because he wasn't hurting this thing, and this thing was hurting him. It felt like a real fight, but the special effects on this miniature was great. The concept was great, and the way they used the levitation, like, if he does levitate that train, this is going to be very bad. Because we've all seen Godzilla pick up trains and stuff, but now it's being levitated. It's a similar concept, but done in a different way.
Yeah, trains and Godzilla are oil and water.
Plus, it's like all of a sudden there's this bullet train going at ungodly speeds. All of a sudden it's flying through the air. It's a horrific thought.
Yeah, well, and actually destroying Japan's railway system actually makes sense because that is a huge part of their infrastructure. You take that out, good Lord, chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a big deal. Also, I'd like to point out that apparently Magnet Boar may have been passing himself off as a cryptid of some kind, but it sounded like it's been happening for a couple of years, and I'm like, I thought he was made up about 10 minutes ago. How is that? Okay, maybe the Boar Man is real. I don't know.
Maybe.
Two things can be true at once. The Boar Man just never got found by Destron to augment, I guess.
This could have been a creation of Shocker/Scale Shocker or Destron after it was rebranded, depending on how long the time variant is. And they didn't know about Destron until Shiro saw them going into the sewer and that guy die.
Maybe. Yeah, actually, I just realized we had a lot of couples this stretch of episodes too, didn't we? We had the couple who was trying to get married, and then they became guinea pigs. We had Junko and poor Drill Mole, and then we had the couple who went looking for the Boar Man. There's a lot of couples showing up in this.
Junko keeps getting involved in weddings except the one she really wants.
Yeah, kind of Shiro and Junko. I don't care what anyone says, I still ship them. All right, next up we have the Kyo Dialogue Award. Because, Kyodai for Giant Hero for the best line. Okay, maybe you'll hate me for this, Chris, because it's from his fabulous moment, but I had to give it to Doktor G because Mumra from Thundercats, my favorite childhood cartoon, totally ripped this off in the 80s. Spirits of ancient warriors, lost souls of evil, gather before me and grant me your strength. I mean, seriously, it's just, ancient spirits of evil. It's just that, Mumra didn't go around decapitating people randomly after that. All right, Jake, what do you got?
I got episode 17 when a spray rat kills the priest. He says, "I'm this church's priest now."
Oh, all right, yeah, my subtitle said pastor. It's such a dastardly line. It's like, I'm the pastor now. Pastor Spray Rat. Why am I'm subtly making a new character here. It's like, I'm Pastor Spray Rat.
Maybe he can make an appearance as villain. You have to that Nate or Crystal Lady have to fight sometime.
Can we not? That's truly obscure. All right, that's a good villain line. Chris, what do you have?
Well, I have a winner and I actually have a runner-up this time.
Okay.
My winner is actually in opposition of yours. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. He that is holy, let him be holy still. Amen. From the pastor.
Yep.
All right, and then the runner-up on this one was, you now have the misfortune of learning Destron's code. Anyone who learns our secrets cannot be allowed to live. Doktor Gay.
You just wanted an excuse to say that, didn't you?
Now, I really... It's not overly profound. It's the simplicity of it and the purity of it. He's like, let the righteous stay on the path. Let the holy stay on. In other words, don't let what is good get corrupted, and then what happens right after?
He's murdered, and then his face is stolen, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, we get the line that the Metal Dawn picked here. It's like, I'm the pastor now.
Yep.
It's an interesting. There are worse final words. I will say that. It's hard watching clergymen get murdered. I will admit.
Well, I think his final word was.
Sure, dude. Sure. Next up, we have the Space Deputy Award in reference to Space Sheriff Gavin for the best character. I'm actually echoing. Was it Jake? You picked Shiro last episode, right?
Yeah. No, I picked.
Yeah,
Takabana.
I'm picking. Yep, and I'm picking Shiro this time around. It's not that I dislike Shiro, but I felt like in this stretch of episodes, he was really able to kind of come into his own. He's a more dynamic protagonist than Hongo or Hayato, as much as I love them, because he's benefiting from the superior scripting that we're getting in this episode. Because maybe it was because it went on for a really long time. I don't know, but the scripts in the original Kamen Rider, would sometimes eke up into good territory. Usually they were just okay. But this time around, they're paying more attention to character work in this. And it's really reaping benefits here because Shiro has been a great protagonist so far. And for this stretch of episodes is where I really grew to appreciate him. So what do you have, Jake?
Well, I'm right there with you. I think Shiro is probably my favorite this week. He just shows that he's
twice in a row.
He shows that he's capable of overcoming most obstacles as V3 and Shiro. So I think he's a very capable character.
Yeah. Magnet Boar was probably my runner-up because of how effective a kaijin he was. But then he blew himself up, so he kind of lost that spot.
Yeah.
Because again, one of our themes this week was people being idiots. Well, no, that was a rant. That wasn't a theme. All right, Chris.
I'm giving it to Tobei Tachibana for being...
Oh, was it twice in a row?
Well, no,
No, did you pick Tachibana last episode? I picked Tachibana.
Yeah, I think we all three did.
Oh, we all three did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no? Did somebody? No, somebody picked Shiro.
No.
Wow, it was only like 2 hours ago. We're already forgetting.
But I'm going with Tobei Tachibana this time. He was the anchor. In this one, you get to really see him develop more as a mentor, not just to Shiro, the way he's teaching the Rider Squad how to be helpful and be safe, and how he's actually preventing them being your typical Kennies where they're just know-it-alls. You only had one instance of the traditional Kenny in this one. He's just training them. He's teaching them to be safe and be smart, and how to... You could see how they were actually able to outsmart the villains just by doing basic things and following his training and things. And I just felt like he really developed not just mentor for Shiro, but as for everybody.
Right. All right. Next up, we have the Jason David Frank Approved Award, named in honor of the original Green Ranger. God rest his soul. For the best performance, my nominee for that this week is Hiroshi Miyachi, in large part because the man does his own stunts. And this stretch of episodes, you really see how crazy and daring he is willing to be for his art form. I mean, like one of my favorite instances, well, there's two. One where he's which kaijin is it? They're fighting on a hill. And he gets knocked down the hill, and it's actually him rolling down the hill. And then the guy in the suit comes down and keeps fighting him. I'm like, good Lord, you threw yourself into that. And then the other one was there's an episode, there's a stunt he does in a later episode after that, where the Destron goons are trying to basically, they string wires across the road because they're trying to get him as he's riding down on the hurricane, and he actually does motorcycle riding tricks to get around it. Like he actually lays down like Superman, to get under the wire a couple of times to avoid getting taken out. I'm like, good Lord. And then he's starting to do the henshin pose while riding. I'm like, and that's him on the motorcycle. I'm like, this was back when you got Kamen and Rider, unlike the modern stuff where it's a lot more Kamen and not so much Rider.
Yeah.
And I kind of love it. So the fact that he was an actor who was willing to do his own stunts, it's just like, this dude's being Jackie Chan before Jackie Chan. Like, that was Jackie Chan's claim to fame in America. Look at this dude. I mean, can you tell that he used to work with Sonny Chiba?
Right.
All right. Metal Don, what do you got?
I was going to go with Shiro, but I'm going to go with the suit actor for Burner Bat for being able to hang upside down in the trees in the suit.
Yeah. Oh, I wish. Oh, I will. When we get to our wrap up for the show, because he'll be in contention for winner for the entire series, I will check my DVDs and find his name. I know we've mentioned the name. I just don't remember which one specifically was Burner Bat, but I will look it up for future reference so we know for sure. But yeah, you were saying?
Yeah. I was going to say that was awesome that he's able to do that well in the suit.
And not get himself killed because there was no safety net. There were no wires. The dude's dropping out of a tree and falling about 10 feet. That's hardcore. In a big rubber suit, too.
Right.
Chris.
I'm going on the opposite side of, the other side, I should say, not the opposite side of Burner Bat, and his face actor.
Oh, I'll look him up too. There's some stuff about him. There's some stuff about him in the DVDs as well.
He did a great job of being menacing, but not overly terrifying, so that the girl didn't immediately run away. And then when he showed up, as he gets closer and closer, and he knows he's almost there, he's able to ratchet up the menace as he needs to. And he saw his facial expressions were great. The way that he would move around, and he was actually very quiet, and just how he would manipulate and play Shiro and the father and daughter. I thought he did a fantastic job, and he's, out of all the new characters, he stood out the most. I almost gave it to Tobei's actor, but he's probably going to get many awards still through here, and I felt like this.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, because Tachibana is the man. Is the man. All right. And now we come to my favorite award, WTH What the Henshin, for the craziest moment. I've already talked about mine. I forgot that I made this the nominee. So I don't need to go into it too much more, but it's Shiro pulls an Ultraman and magically teleports. So either that or he taps into the Speed Force and just comes right back around. We literally saw him go out of frame on the Cyclone. And then Tachibana walks up and he's like, well, where's Shiro? I could have swore he was V3. Oh, he's right over there. I'm like, how? Is that one of your 26 secrets? Can you run really fast? Are you the common runner now? I'm just, what the heck? Shout out to Tommy Trembath from Giant Size Violence. That is Tommy's Discord name. It's hilarious. I love it. All right. Crazy moments for your Jake. What do you got?
I'm going with episode 10, the crucifixion scene.
Crucifixions are always nuts in these.
Yeah. They were about to light them on fire until Shiro shows up.
It's not the first time it's happened. It happens a fair amount in Showa Ultraman, usually to the Ultramen. Yeah. And it happened a lot in the original Kamen Rider. Apparently, Shocker was like, hey, it worked for the Romans.
And they are such people to model ourselves after.
I mean, people think about the Roman Empire all the time.
True.
Apparently. I know that meme was old 3 months ago, but whatever. Yeah. Actually, probably more than that. Anyway, Chris, what do you got?
There were a few, but the one...
It's 70s tokusatsu. It's all insane.
My runner-up is the date rape ring because I'm like, really, we're going there.
He's not gonna let that go.
No, you went from evil to creepy.
Okay, Chris, I'm the guy who would ask you this question. Is it worse than the One Ring?
Yes. The One Ring didn't.
Oh,
the One Ring didn't involve possible sexual exploitation.
No, only the corruption of your very soul and the empowerment to dominate for a dark lord.
Yes, but you have to have a soul for that to matter.
Are you saying that the date rape ring takes your soul away?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So it's like you put it on and it's instant Gollum. Is that what it is?
But what does top the date rape ring in general? It's the whole premise of Drill Mole's wedding.
Oh, the whole wedding. That was in
like,
contention.
Just from him showing up, when he first showed up, I thought, is this a jealous boyfriend? Like, what are you doing with this guy? Why are you with this biker? I know you're with this biker. And the way she acted at first, like she knew him. And then he's trying to force her to marry. I'm like, is this an ex-boy? I was going to ask if that was an ex-boyfriend or something because I thought I might have missed something until you explained, no, he's just a guy associated with the mob. He's he's a petty criminal.
He's a small-time crook.
He's just a small-time crook, but he acts like a jealous boyfriend. Like she had a boyfriend who was on the wrong side of the track. She didn't know how. But, yeah. And then just the whole concept of the wedding, like, what is this? And like I said, the ring almost won out, but the reason why it didn't was because the whole thing was just a what the henching.
Yeah, it was the whole wedding is just like the whole wedding. It's such an edgelord wedding.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's just so crazy. I mean, clearly Drill Mole spent way too much time in his room listening to not Linkin Park. They're not, because they're not really edgelords. I don't know what's the edgiest music from the 90s, because that's what it screamed. You're listening to too much death metal or something. Slipknot. He listened to way too much Slipknot growing up, hiding in his room thinking he's so edgy. Ooh. Yeah, whatever, dude. But that could be just Destron in general.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So that wraps up the awards for us. All right, for our next episode, if I remember correctly, because I didn't check before we started recording, I believe it will be disc 3 of the Generation Kakaida DVDs, which should theoretically be episodes 19 through 27, if I remember correctly, because I think they go in 9s until the last disc, or at least they do 9s for the most part. So I think it should be 19 to 27, because we're going to multiples of 9. But I'm pretty sure that's what, even if it's not that exactly, it'll be close enough. So that'll be our next episode. And now we have to do, say it with me, shameless self-promotion. There you go. So, as I mentioned in just a humble 2 hours ago, because we batch record these, check out my author website, nathanjsmarchand.com, where you can learn about the latest things that I'm getting published as a writer, whether they be articles or my various books. Mentioned that I've got a new short story collection coming out, hopefully by the time this episode is published, called The Worlds of Nathan Marchand Volume 2. This will be my second short story collection, a bunch of stuff that hasn't been published yet. The working title for it at the moment will be Tales of the Lost and Lonely. Only one is kind of genre fiction. The rest of it's more quote unquote literary, but it usually involves nerdy things like a missing Superman cape or taking place at an arcade. the Mr. Reiner here was kind enough to do some copy editing on it for me, and apparently it broke his tiny, tiny heart.
No, it actually helped me to deal with the heartbreak I'd already gone through. So
I know, I'm just cracking jokes. I'm also a contributing writer to Kaiju United, among other publications, but that's the one that would be most relevant to people's interests here. And I also have another podcast, the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast seeking entertainment and enlightenment through tokusatsu, where I talk about kaiju. Tokusatsu doesn't always have kaiju in it. Sometimes I talk about disaster movies or whatever. Currently, I'm doing an international series of episodes, so it's kaiju films made anywhere but America and Japan. I'm going to be talking about a lot of Japanese films. I spent one season talking about American films, so now we're looking at kaiju from all over the place. Like, I don't know, Super Inframan, Mighty Peking Man, later this season, Reptilicus and Gorgo, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And it also has an ongoing audio drama storyline that just found its way in there organically. And now I can't stop myself because it's a monster, and the monster must be fed.
next season, Nate goes to Mars.
Yeah, Nate goes to Mars, because why not at this point? So I swear it makes sense if you listen. It makes sense if you listen. And I think that, and I'm part of Carl Dutton's stable of actors on the Scyther Inc. Productions. I most notoriously played Rito on Power Rangers, the audio drama. I also got cast as, of all people, Deadpool for X-Men, the audio drama, and got several offers to play Deadpool in other projects, including one that will be, thanks to the Red Cornish Ranger, will be an audio adaptation of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. I will also be making my debut in Avengers, the audio drama, an official spinoff of X-Men, the audio drama, as Johnny Storm, baby, the Human Torch, that'll be out by the time that this episode is published. So that's all the really important stuff. If you want the links to all the socials and all of that, check the show notes. You'll probably get them there. There'll be some link trees and all that fun stuff. All right, gentlemen, what do you got?
You can find me on the Markalite Facebook group and the Power Rangers
Markalite
Legacy
Lounge,
Facebook.
yeah.
Markalite Lounge, yeah.
Yep. And also, did you join the Discord server as well?
Not yet.
Okay, you're not okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you joined the Discord server. Yeah, because there'll be links to all those groups in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Sentai Guy?
In the 2 hours since I last did this, I remembered a little bit more. I am still on Facebook under Christopher Peter Reiner, and because of that, I am linked to Instagram, though I've never posted anything on there. I am in the Discord group. I am also in the Markalite Lounge and Power Rangers Legacy. I am hoping to be an aspiring writer and eventually a writer at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have plans, and I'm working on launching another podcast next year that may or may not involve these gentlemen coming on from time to time to talk about tokusatsu or monsters or whatever else they find interesting.
Yeah, and maybe a certain snarky bonehead. You keep threatening me with more Rito.
Snarky bonehead is always welcome. Shoot, I may have him do my intro music. You never know.
Oh no! Oh no! He already made a cameo in the Power Chamber recently, so
I'm gonna have to listen to that now. Then.
Oh yeah, he has a conversation with Rob, the host, at the beginning. He wanted to borrow Rantmaster. The only person Rob could get a hold of was Rito.
Nice.
It was actually pretty funny. He sent me the first draft of the edited version, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's actually pretty funny. So he'll definitely be letting you know when that gets released. Basically, he just reached the point in season 2 of Power Rangers where the half the cast leaves.
Yeah,
he's got opinions. He's got opinions, and now makes the second podcast that I don't host where somebody has borrowed Rantmaster, because now the Cellcast uses it and they just put a little copyright at the end.
You're going to have to actually get that patented so you can make actual money off of it.
I may have to. So I don't care if you hate it, Michael. People love Rantmaster. Get over it.
And we love Rita.
But yeah, I was just saying, God help us if Rito gets acquires the power of the Rantmaster. I don't think the podcasting world is.
But
ready
you know
for
who nobody loves, including himself? WG3. Nobody loves WG3. Not even WG3.
Oh, listen to the Film Vault, people. It'll make sense. Anyway.
Yes, if you're not listening to the Film Vault, why are you here? The Film Vault.
What?
The Film Vault is amazing. You don't know what you're missing out on. It's informative. It's a good time. I mean,
this is why you throw money at me every month for it.
I do.
You're a proud patron.
I am a proud patron.
Actually, both of you are. You're both proud patrons.
Yep. It's unique in the fact that the way it does a breakdown of kaiju films and the audio drama. I love old school audio dramas, and it mixes that with modern kaiju and hero lore. So
screw the self part. You're doing the promotion for me.
Well,
I've got 2/3 of it. It's still shameless promotion. There's just no self.
Yeah. Well, when I have more stuff, I'll do less promoting you and more promoting me. But I do some work on it. So I edit some of his podcasts. So there.
Yeah.
So
a lot of Henshinmen was edited by you.
Yes.
A lot of Henshinmen.
Yes.
All right. So we need to start wrapping things up. And what did we learn on this week's episode, gentlemen? Well, first off, if you're going to become a supervillain, pick a motif and stick to it.
Don't accept date rape rings from strangers.
And don't let Destron plan your wedding.
And may the power protect you. Thank you for listening to Henshin Power V3, a podcast produced and hosted by Nathan Marchand,
Christopher Reiner,
and Jake Hamburg.
If you'd like to send us feedback, we'd love to hear from you. So email us at henshin.power.v3@gmail.com.
Follow us on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Thank you, Danny Demana, where our handle is at Henshin Power V3, and join our official Facebook groups, Power Rangers Legacy and the Marvel Out Lounge. We also have a Discord server called the Marvel Out Lounge. Check the show notes for links to all of them.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other great podcatchers. The podcast logo was designed by Rebecca Hutchins. Follow her on Instagram at super_r_illustrations.
Our theme song is a Joe the Hero remix by GVG Kid, which is based on a track from the video game Beautiful Joe.
All film and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended or implied.
Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podchaser to spread the word about the show. And until next time,
Schwatch! This podcast is copyright 2024 Moonlight Ninjas Media. Ha 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 ha!